She's a motivator, a self-made multimillionaire, spiritual guide to students in over 90 countries, nutritionist and wellness educator, and founder of 3 international schools.
A fine artist whose works can be found in private collections around the world, a fierce defender of children and animals, and a former Wall Street attorney who left the concrete jungle for the tropics over 20 years ago, where her life's mission has been to teach people all over the world how to master their energy, reclaim their personal authority and sovereignty, and develop a real relationship with the true Jesus.
But to us, she's our mom, who loved us unconditionally from birth to now, who has been there for us 24/7 our entire lives without fail, always putting us first.
The mom who protected, nurtured, empowered, and initiated us, making us her number one priority for the past 22 years.
The mom who creates a home filled with love, empowerment, support, and guidance.
Laughter, fun, and really good food. And now, welcome to She Can Have It All with your host, Liana.
Aloha, everybody. Welcome back to She Can Have It All. This is your host, Liana. I have been so excited to do this next podcast because I haven't done an episode in a minute. And since that time, in the interim between when I did my previous episode and this one today, I launched a 9-day immersion program called Magnetic Money Manifesting. And it really is, I don't even call it a program. It is an experience. And it was such a profound experience for myself and everybody who did it. Everybody said it radically changed their life in every way possible. And not just money. Money changed dramatically for most people, but so did their health and so did their mindset and their relationship with their kids. And it really became the epitome of being able to have it all. And of course, everything that we did in the immersion program was elevating frequency, teaching, learning, opening up, connecting together, and just having this really beautiful experience. So beautiful that I'm launching it again in about 10 days. And for those of you who are on the waiting list, you already got the email, which gives you special pricing for the next 3 days. So I am on such a high. I've been in such a blissful state 24/7 since the beginning of that program. And we have just been enjoying the whole experience since the program as well on the app. So hopefully you guys are on the app, you're on the Liana.life app, and you are enjoying all of the high frequency, even if you haven't done the immersion experience yet. But I hope you will. Again, we're starting in about 10 days. But what I'm coming here to talk to you about today is just another aspect of being able to have it all. Because I really feel that there's so much distortion about what that means. And it's something I could talk about every day, all day, for years to come, for people to really grasp and understand it. And one of the biggest blocks to having it all is this belief that God is mad at you, or that God is a parent, or that God is authoritarian. And that comes from distorted religious programming. It comes from shame. It comes from guilt. It comes from low self-worth and from your parents behaving in an authoritarian manner over you, where you always think there's this authority over you and you never outgrow it. People 40, 50, 60 years old still have an inherent authoritarian parent spewing a bunch of bullshit in their head. And I guarantee many of you do as well. Whether you're recognizing it or not, it's probably there, especially if you're not living your dream life. If you're like me, you're living your dream life, you have an amazing relationship with your kids, you're wealthy, you're healthy, you're happy, you're blissful, you have freedom, you're traveling, you're doing whatever the hell you want in your life, then you don't have that, right? You're your own authority. But if areas of your life are not how you want them, one of the biggest issues is the authority figure in your head. So I wanted to talk about that on a podcast because I want you to understand that every time I talk about co-creating with God, God is a partner. God is not above you in the sense that God is an authority over you. And the same thing with Jesus. And it's funny because, of course, we're nothing without God. We're nothing without Jesus, but we're everything with God and with Jesus. And I think people really misunderstand that because when they feel or hear, especially with Jesus, there's so much religious programming that comes with his name. His name is powerful. It scares the shit out of demons. And it clears the energy of dark, low frequency people, the true Jesus, not the church Jesus. But people hear it and there's still so much association with the word Jesus, the name Jesus, because in the collective, it is tied very intricately with the religious programming. And so that's why a lot of people use the nonsense of Yeshua. And you hear that a lot from the New Age people. And they don't really want to say the name Jesus. They're afraid. They are connecting it with the religious belief system. But at the same time, they're feeding into the New Age satanic Luciferian agenda. So I actually just want to get you reacquainted with the real Jesus real quick before I move on to the topic of this podcast. I'm going to do probably the next podcast on some topics of teaching about Jesus. But for this one, I just want to reacquaint you with his name and then move on to the topic of co-creating and staying in the abundance wavelength, because I'm completely in the magnetic money manifesting vibe, the 9-day immersion vibe, and getting ready to launch again. So I'm in that space. I am on a high. I am super blissful, and so grateful to have mastered the law of increase, which is something I teach in 12DB school. Because after I removed a big pile of rot, the Triple M experience was born. And again, like I said, it's something that can't even be put into words, because everybody who has done this program, who's in this energy and in this vibe, is like, we are not even connecting with the old world anymore. It's two worlds. It's the new earth. It's the old earth. We see the world, we're in the world, but we're not of the world. And we observe and view the chaos, but we're not part of it. So to say it's a radical experience is an understatement. So I want to really focus in on that and just give you a few tips on keeping your energy high, keeping your frequency high, helping you understand what it means to be an energetic match for money and for building your dream life, because you can absolutely have it all. But I just want to reacquaint you with the real Jesus, because at the end of the day, my work is all about that. It's foundationally built upon the true Jesus, the way, the truth, and the life, which has nothing to do with the fake version of Jesus in the Christian churches. But Jesus, say his name, meditate on it, pray it out loud, use his name, call on him often. His name brings super high energy, love, safety. It triggers demons. They cannot stand the sound of his name, especially when it's spoken by a true light worker. And just so you know, Jesus is the word Jesus. His name is derived from Iesvs, Iesvs in Latin, Iesus in Greek, which is Iesous, and the Hebrew and Aramaic name is Yeshua, Y''Shua. Syriac Christians, whose language is essentially Aramaic, as Jesus would have spoken it, pronounce his name Isho. But ultimately, the name Jesus is the most powerful, energetically, frequency-wise, Akashic-wise. You can say Isho if you are a Syriac Christian, but not the Yeshua. The Yeshua is co-opted by the New Age. Satanists use that word. New Age, Course in Miracles type people, same people that talk about Christ consciousness and all of the other nonsense that has really convoluted his energy, which of course is what the Luciferian agenda wants. So I'm moving on from that topic. May seem odd that that is how I'm starting this podcast, when it's really a podcast about the frequency and the energy of money, the abundance wavelength, and most importantly, magnetic money manifesting, because I really wanted to talk about that, because I was sharing, I did a live yesterday in my app, and I was sharing with my community that never before in the 12 years of doing this work, I have never said that my prayer, my soul, my heart, my mind is that every person does magnetic money manifesting. And I've never said that about any other program of mine. I have felt so radically grateful to have been chosen to deliver this experience, to be the person who Jesus entrusted with this information, with this material, with this experience, with this love, with this joy, and feeling on this new earth, this blissful state that I've been in. Looking back over the last couple of years, they have just been so wonderful, so amazing, so spectacular. My gratitude is over the top. And I am just driven to share this with everybody. And you guys know I've been doing this for 12 years and I've never talked about any of my programs this way. My programs, they're all important: mother wound, father wound, narcissistic healing. They're foundational: Life Path, Lemurian Mystery School, B School, HMI, health, your body, right? It's a lifelong body of work of mine that has been guided and directed by Jesus. And culminating in this program. And I before never envisioned wanting to even speak to billions of people or get the message out to billions of people. And that has dramatically changed. Everything has dramatically changed since this program. So I just can't stop smiling about it, being joyful about it, being happy about it, and connecting with the incredible community on my app. It is a dream come true. The students, my community, everybody, my family, everybody did the program, right? So I wanted to share some things about it and hope and encourage and pray for everybody who is looking for a radical life change in a very short period of time to do that program. It is open for enrollment now, and it is, emails have gone out to people on the waiting list. And so just a lot of, just energy that will change your life in every way. Like I said, relationships, health, spontaneous healing, money, windfalls, like job changes. Just, I can't even put it into words. But I wanted to intro this podcast with a focus on Jesus, because every single thing I do is a focus on Jesus, because he is the only thing real in this crazy co-opted collective matrix that we see out there. I just did a Substack article today on all the crazy shit happening in the collective, and you can read my Substack. I go into great detail about all of the smoke and mirrors, what is happening, the chaos, the election stuff. And if you're an Illumination subscriber, you already know all of that, because in the annual forecast, I talked about everything that's going to be happening this year, and it's happening exactly as I predicted, which is always the case with my annual forecast. And so there's lots of information there for you guys. Substack today was a big hit, and I did get a lot of new subscribers. So I'm glad to see that that is getting out there and people are starting to access that information. And I keep the Substack for that type of information written, it's succinct. But the podcast is really focused on having your dream life. That's the whole purpose of me doing this podcast in every way and teaching you how I do it. And I have always been in the quantum world. So quantum world to me, which the Triple M program is a quantum program, quantum world is not new to me. I have always been living this way. I have never accepted other people's version of the way life is. I have always known that I would be successful and happy and wealthy. And even in times where, like at 18 years old, when I moved to Hawaii to be with my then boyfriend, and I went from having a lot of money and being with my family in a huge house and a brand new Corvette and this amazing life. And I went to what the 3D world would have said, I went to being broke because I was not being supported by my family financially when I made that move. I had to get a job waitressing and support myself. And, they had their own reasons for not wanting me to go, which I totally understood, because it was a big move. It was 6,000 miles away. It was going to delay college for a year, all kinds of logical and important reasons that they had, but I had my own sovereignty, and I learned that, and I was empowered, and I knew that I was going to make it happen. So I made it happen and got to Hawaii at 18 and had the time of my life. And it was the best decision I could have ever made, because it was from that standpoint that I became so empowered when it came to money, and have supported myself ever since. Never took a dime from my family after that. And it's been fucking amazing, because to know that I can generate wealth in the way that I have always done, and in the way that has become so easy for me, and whether it's investing or businesses or real estate, all the things I do, right, just has been so spectacular. And my dream, my wish was always to bottle that up. Like, could I bottle this up and just give that to people? That's my dream, because I know that when light workers have money, when light workers are happy, when light workers are healthy, when light workers have good, loving, supportive relationships, they are the ones that make this world spectacular. And there's so many dark people and evil people that have a lot of money. And that's feeds into the belief that, money corrupts people, money makes people bad. And you see all the bad people that have money. So it looks like you're getting evidence of that, like it's a truth. It's not a truth. It's distorted thinking. And so I always was wishing, could I just bottle this up and give it to people? And over the years, the conclusion was, no, I can't, until Triple M, right? Until this April with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, and this program was birthed. And it literally was. It was literally that. It was literally this energy, this frequency, this wavelength of me bottling up. And basically everybody in the program says, we feel like we were in a 9-day sleepover. We had men, we had women, sometimes people had their kids, listening in, just the joy, the high frequency, the fun, the expansion, the positivity. And I'm like, that's what this is. My dream was always to manifest the ability to bottle this up. And it's so funny because that's just something I've been saying for so long. But in my mind, I really never believed that that was real. Like, you can't really bottle that up. But that was my desire. That was my dream. And nothing, literally nothing makes me happier than talking about this topic, the ways you can have your dream life, because it's exciting and it's such a beautiful way to live. And it's the way that Jesus intended us to live. And then you have this whole billions of people believing these bullshit religions that they're supposed to suffer, and there's, virtue in being a martyr and suffering. And I'm like, my God, that is not Jesus at all. That's not what he taught. That's not what he teaches. And people are hoodwinked and they believe it and they're hijacked, and then they die and they get pushed back into the wheel of reincarnation, never, ever, ever living their dream life. And it was very frustrating to me, but I had gotten to a point where I just accepted, well, I can just keep teaching programs. I can teach abundance things. I can teach people practicality of being an entrepreneur, becoming a self-made multimillionaire. I can teach those things. It wasn't until this phenomenal year, which makes total sense, right? This is the year of revelation, the year of rebirth, the year of renewal. I declared that year in the beginning of 2024, and we are in year 8 of a 9-year cycle. And for those of you who are part of Illuminations, you know that this is the most powerful 9-year cycle ever in your whole lifetime. And I've been saying that since 2017 when this 9-year cycle started. And makes total sense that 2024 would be the absolute breakthrough year. And when I completed the 9-day immersion experience, I realized, oh my gosh, this is my dream come true. Like, my dream come true, literally, to bottle up my enthusiasm, my knowing, my understanding of the universe, my absolute ability to create my exact dream life, working with Jesus, co-creating with Jesus, and being fully surrendered to Jesus, and knowing things and knowing how to apply things, because including happiness and peace and bliss and love and passion and purpose and meaning and money and fun and excitement and travel and all the cool and wonderful things that I do, and amazing relationships with my kids, right? So that knowledge is not out there, right? It's just not. It is not out there. It is a fuckery of nonsense, of duality out there, and fighting, and people getting wrapped up in emotional drains, soul harvesting, loosh harvesting. People are fighting and really having these low level, low frequency debates, conversations. Every podcast is like negative stuff, and people wanting you to get sucked into their dark vortex. And I've always avoided that. I've never been part of that. And what I realized after Triple M was, oh my gosh, I actually manifested the dream of bottling up all of this, my knowledge, not just the knowledge that I could teach, but the knowledge and the energy frequency that I could share energetically, not just through words, through the energy of being in this container. And this close proximity container of Triple M, like I said, and I will continue to say it forever, mind blown. In my heart of hearts, my soul of souls, every single human being who is still connected to light, I'm not including the Satanists here, needs this program. So I'm like, okay, I want to talk about it. I also want to talk about being in the abundance wavelength and just give you some tips and ideas and ways to spur you along on your path, and just the knowing that this is for you. This dream life, whatever yours looks like, is for you. And what I found from a lot of people is they didn't even know what their dream life was, because a lot of the things people think they want are not things that they actually want. They're things they were told to want. And when it comes down to it, in some of the exercises and energy work that we did during the 9-day immersion, people are like, wow, I actually want something completely different. and, working on shifting the frequency to fully believe and know that you can have those things. And it's crowding out a lot of the voices of all the people that told you can't, or you're delusional. And I would be probably a billionaire if I had, a $20 bill for every person who ever told me I was delusional. And I love that. I love when people say that. I'm like, that is absolutely right, because you are stuck in the matrix. You are not happy. You are miserable. You are broke, or you are unhappy in a crappy marriage, or you are not healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. You don't have Jesus. You are tired all the time. You're zoning out in front of TV. You're hooked on weed. You're hooked on alcohol. You're hooked on porn. Like, I am glad that you think I'm delusional, right? So it's just this massive amount of enthusiasm that I have been able to essentially bottle and share in this container. So again, starting out with the convo on Jesus and using his name and saying it all the time. Jesus, the real Jesus, the way, the truth, and the life, not the church Jesus, not the Paul, who was never an apostle, but people think he was, who is the foundation for all of fake Christianity. When you get that, when you get the vibe and the frequency of the true Jesus, and you stop consuming death and you just consume food, actual food, fruit, vegetable, nuts, seeds, legumes, grains, you're in a whole new world. You're in a whole new world, and you begin co-creating with God in ways that no one else is doing. And they're not going to do it unless they grasp these teachings. So one of the things that's so important that I wanted to share today is that you always have to be in an energetic match with what you're calling in, what you want. A lot of people say they want money, and they are never a match for having a lot of money. And why that happens is because they are thinking that they want money. They might put it in affirmations. They might write it down in their vision board or whatnot. But their energy state is a state of, I don't have money. The energy state is, oh my God, I hate bills. The energy state is, holy shit, gas is $7 a gallon. Oh my God, I'm not paying for that. That's overpriced. Oh my gosh, I'm not doing that program. It's $5,000. Oh my God, I'm not hiring a coach. Oh my God, a loaf of bread is $12, right? That's all very low frequency. That's not the abundance wavelength. That's poverty mentality. And you cannot, 100%, you can guarantee this, you cannot become wealthy and abundant or manifest significant amounts of money if you, meaning your energy frequency and your energy field, remains in a low place. So if you are complaining about money and you are upset about the things costing a lot of money, or you're a person who is trying to cut corners and do things cheaply or always buy things on sale. And I've talked about all these things before, but all of those things matter. Those are the things that keep your energy in a low frequency. And something so important that you have to know, and you need to get it right now if you want to manifest money, you have to put your frequency to the level of what you want to attract. Not words, not an affirmation. Affirmations can be great, but they're not great if your energy doesn't match them. Then they're useless. Those are the people that go, well, I tried all this law of attraction stuff and I really do want that. I really want that car or that home or this amount of money, but it's not happening for me. The reason it's not happening is because your energy is not calling it in. Your energy frequency is your calling card to the universe. When you walk around every day, just know this, whatever you're thinking, whatever you're feeling becomes your energy. And the energy is what you emit out into the universe. It's like a signal. You are a signal, and you're sending a signal out to God, to the universe 24/7, even when you're sleeping. Whether you're intentionally doing it or not, doesn't matter. And whatever energy frequency you are putting out into the universe, God says, yes, I would love to give that to you. God is loving. God is unconditional love. God is not a punisher. God is not the Satan of the Old Testament, killing people, sacrificing virgins, mutilating the genitals of little boys. No, God is, yes, I love you. Absolutely. Every time, all day, every day, 24/7 for your whole life. God exists to love you. God created you to be loved. You're here to be loved. This is a fundamental principle that I really got into depth with in the Triple M 9-day immersion experience. You exist to be loved. So what does that mean when it comes to money? It comes to the fact that you are always getting a yes from God. But what you're not getting a yes to is what your mind says or what your ego says. What you're getting a yes to is the energy frequency that you're putting out into the universe. So you have to not only master your mind, which is the topic of another previous podcast episode, because you have to get control over your thoughts. You have to. The mind is your worst enemy. It can be your best friend. It can be one of the most powerful tools to help you have the life of your dreams. But for most people, I would say 98% of people, if not more, the mind is sabotaging you on the daily. So you have to not only get control of your mind mastery, you also have to be super intentional and conscious about your energy frequency, because your energy frequency is the thing that God is answering. And you're always getting a yes. Now, how awesome is that? I mean, just think about that for a minute. God is always saying yes to you. And the reason most people have a problem with that, the reason most people don't get it, don't even understand it, probably never even heard that before, is because they believe in a God that is a punisher. They had parents who didn't always say yes. They had parents who were authoritarian and used the carrot and stick, the reward and the punishment, right? I was lucky. I was blessed. I was never raised by authoritarian parents. So I had yeses all the time from my parents. And the no's that did come were safety issues, like literally just safety issues that I didn't know any better about when I was a little kid, right? Yeses all the time. And the funniest thing about that is that people always used to tell my parents, oh my God, she's going to be so spoiled. She's going to be so entitled, all this stuff. And my dad was like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. She's just going to trust in God. She's going to trust in the universe, and she's going to know that she's loved. And that's the opposite of somebody who would be, quote, spoiled or entitled, because she is bathing in love. She is existing in a state of unconditional love. And that's exactly the case. And so because I got all those yeses all the time, I knew God is a God of yes. God is a God of love. I exist to be loved. I was created to be loved. God is unconditional love. And so that's how I was able to move to Hawaii at 18, even though that was a no. It wasn't a no by my parents. It was just, we're not going to support you. It wasn't a no, like you can't go. It was, we're not going to financially support you because we don't feel like that's the best choice for you. And I totally respected that. And I said, well, because you raised me to be so sovereign and I have all the yeses of the past 18 years, I feel it's the best thing for me and I will make it happen. And I did. Me and God, we co-created. I made it happen. One of the best years of my life, and definitely a turning point because I got all those yeses. So I now, through the Triple M 9-day immersion experience, I'm able to impart that to you, that energy of the yeses, to have you feel what that feels like, to be in the container with me, to feel that high frequency of what it means to be so loved and to be worthy of love. And that is the key to having your dream life and creating your dream life. And so all those yeses translate into this program, right? And most people, probably you listening, didn't get that. You got the authoritarian, you got a lot of no's, you got a lot of, you didn't get a good report card, or you're not acting how we want. And, all the, you better step in line, stand in line, do what the family says, the family cult bullshit, right? You got all that. So you don't know a God that is all loving, and that is a yes God, constantly 24/7. So that's really the underlying foundation and principle of everything I'm talking about here, and of the Triple M immersion experience. I was calling it a program initially, but it's just not. It's just so much more than that. And so what's so beautiful about that is that once you know that, but you don't just know it intellectually, you feel it, you understand it, you grasp it, you begin to completely reframe your energy, not just your thinking. Thinking is important. You do have to master your mind, as I said, but you are able to master your energy field so that you start perceiving God as a yes God, as yes to everything. And once you really grasp that, then you get super careful and super intentional and super conscious about what you're emitting, this signal that you are, this radio broadcast, which is you, that is going out into the universe. And when you put that out into the universe in an intentional way, in a conscious way, and you start to get the yeses back, it becomes so fun. You're like, oh my gosh, this is fun because I see it now. I feel it. It's happening in my life. God is saying yes to everything that I am. So the work becomes, who are you? Who do you want to become? Who do you desire to become? And instead of looking for some quote answer, most people are saying, well, what am I supposed to do, God? That's never the question, because God doesn't care what you do. If you're a light worker and you're holding good energy and you are a loving person, what you do with that is completely up to you. But because of religious programming, because of the authoritarian nature of most parents, most families, most family cults, most societal restrictions, right? Most people think there's an answer outside of themselves. Like you're supposed to do one thing and God wants you to do one thing. And if you don't do that one thing, you're somehow going to be a fuck up and your life's going to be a mess and you're just not doing the right thing and you're going to be punished and there's going to be a consequence. All of that is a dark satanic lie. You have freedom, and the very nature of your sovereignty means you get to choose who you want to be in this world. You get to manifest what you desire to be, who you desire to be. And I think that's one of the biggest turnarounds too for everybody in the Triple M experience, because either you're coming from a religious background or no religion, but you still have the authoritarian parents and the school systems and the society, and you think there's a right answer. And the problem with that is that when you think there's a right answer, then anything other than that is necessarily wrong. And when you're doing, quote, wrong things, you're never going to manifest wealth. You're never going to manifest your dream life because inherently you think you're bad. You should be punished. You know, this feeds into the programming of the nonsense of something like original sin, or that you should be punished, or you don't deserve happiness, or you don't deserve joy and amazing love and relationships and passion and tons of money and amazing orgasms and just like the best life ever. It feeds off of the I'm not worthy because I'm doing something wrong. And it spirals down into this dark pit of these Luciferian lies. But you don't realize that because you really feel like, okay, I'm in search of the right thing. There is no right thing. There's the thing you desire, and you could pick among so many things. And in the Triple M experience, we do a lot of journeys. We do quantum journeys and things like that. And we do journeys to meet other versions of ourselves because we know everything, everywhere, all at once exists, right? There is no time. There's no past, present, and future. Everything, everywhere, all at once. And if you haven't seen that movie, by the way, which is an amazing movie, I highly recommend you see it because it will help you put some things into perspective. So you get to travel into these other realms, into these parallel universes, and see versions of yourself that are doing amazing, wonderful things and things that you could be doing now and some things you don't want to be doing now. And the beauty in that is that you get to pick, you get to choose, you get to choose what you desire and what you manifest. And once you hone in on that, you stop searching. People spend their whole lives searching for the right thing. There is no right thing. There are beautiful things that you get to do when you're a light worker and you're filled with high frequency love. And you know that you're loved, you know you exist to be loved, and you know that you're creating with God and with the true Jesus. So that's what's so exciting. That's the thing that I've been on cloud nine in a total state of bliss since this immersion experience, because I've bottled it up and I've been able to share it with everybody. And I'm sharing tidbits with you here because I want you to know and understand that this is possible for everybody. And that's why I said everybody needs to be in this experience. But what is so important to remember is, again, number one, Jesus is the foundation, the true Jesus. Number two, you exist to be loved, and you are here to fulfill your desires, whatever you feel is the most exciting, beautiful path that you can envision, something you want to do, something you'll wake up every day being excited about doing. I mean, for me, I'm pretty sure it's obvious. You can probably tell by my energy and my voice that what I am doing is exactly what I want to be doing. There is nothing I would change. I've been saying that for a long time, and now it's even more profound because I have a life with the most amazing family. I get to watch my kids live out their dreams as an athlete and an artist, and I get to do my art and paint and create and have my art in collections around the world and put beautiful, high energy, high frequency art out there into the universe. And I get to teach these things, and I get to be the recipient of the results. Like, I see people living better lives. And every time I get messages, I get a lot of cards and letters, handwritten letters in the mail. People who have children draw me these beautiful pictures and send me stuffed animals and bracelets and all these great things that I am just so blessed to receive. And when I receive those, and I hear people say, Liana, your work changed my life. Your work changed my health. I am off all medications. I am off antidepressants. I have been making so much more money. I have a better relationship with my children. My children are peaceful. They're not fighting with each other. My son graduated college because of you. I never thought he could go to college before. My son is playing Division I basketball because of you. Like, when I receive those, my level of joy just shoots through the roof, because that's everything to me. That's everything to me. That is why I'm so joyful. That is why I love what I do, because nothing makes me happier than seeing people succeed, get a lot of money, have great relationships, be happy, love who they are, look in the mirror and look at themselves with love and see their beauty, and to have couples that are in my community having stronger relationships. All of that is why I'm living my dream life, right? That's what I do. That's what I love to do. And so what's so beautiful to me is seeing that ever since the Triple M experience, it has skyrocketed in ways that I never even thought possible. I've always received amazing gratitude and letters and messages and DMs and emails and things like that. This has been at a level that there's nothing in my world prior to this April that I could have predicted that would have shown me just how spectacular and magnificent and amazing and wonderful this is. So I'm pretty sure you can hear that and you can feel it in my energy and in my voice. But what I really am sharing with you today is not only the foundation of Jesus and knowing that you are here to be loved and that God created you to be loved, but that there is no authority over you, that you are your own person and you get to pick what you want to be and who you want to be. And once you focus in on that, then you intentionally not only master your mind, but you intentionally master your energy state. And you get control of it. If you start thinking negatively, or you start going into worry and fear and anxiety and all these lower states that don't help you. And what's so important for you in this podcast, and what I really want to convey to you in this episode, is that God is a yes God, and God is saying yes to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for your entire life in this incarnation. And once you understand that, once you know that, once you completely delete, destroy, and disintegrate any belief that God is authoritarian or says no, or you deserve to be punished, or you deserve to have terrible things, struggling things, being a martyr. Once you get past all that and you're like, wow, I exist to be loved. I was created to be loved. God exists to love me. And God is a yes God, saying yes all the time. And remember, God is not a person. God does not have a personality. Jesus was a person. Jesus was a man, had a strong personality, was flipping tables, was calling out family cults, was calling out the money changers, right? And teaching in a way that was very abrasive to a lot of people. And now that he is the avatar and the shaman for this earth, he has agreed, he is continuing to agree to provide all of us with the path, the only path. And it's for everybody. It doesn't matter what your background is, what race, what religion, what color, none of that. The path out of the endless wheel of reincarnation, the path to freedom, the path to free your soul, so that when you die, you know where you're going. You don't get sucked into the false light. You don't get regurgitated back in to this human farming, this farming of your loosh, of your light, of your soul, right? That's what Jesus is doing. So even though he does have a personality and an energy of a person, his role is very different now. And he's certainly not there telling you, no, don't do this, don't do that. You can't do this, you can't do that. And it's one of the key things. We actually talk about that quite a bit in the 9-day immersion program as well, that Jesus is not, he's not there for you to be bouncing business ideas back and forth and, asking for permission to do things. We don't need permission. We have God, the universe, the creator, the divine creator, answering us 24/7 with yeses. So when you look at your life right now, every single thing in your life is something that you attracted by your energy frequency right now. And so all of the things that you're joyful about and happy about and excited about, great. Pat yourself on the back. You are a fucking amazing manifester and you manifested all those things. Now do the same thing for anything in your life that you don't really love, you don't really like, you don't really want. And don't beat yourself up. Don't get mad at yourself. Just go, oh, interesting. I really am an amazing manifester. I'm just going to shift the things that I'm manifesting because I don't want that narc boyfriend. I don't want that controlling mother. I don't want this candida. I don't want this acne. I don't want the broke bank account, right? And look at it with neutrality because there's nothing to be mad about. When you understand the power that you have and when you understand that you are capable far beyond anything you thought before, that you are a master manifester and you always have been, you will quickly shift into intentional manifesting because let's face it, you've been manifesting for a very long time, but you have given your power away only because you weren't manifesting intentionally. You were allowing yourself to be depressed. You were allowing yourself to sit around on a Friday night drinking wine with a bunch of gossipy girls or guys, talking shit about people and being in a low frequency and doom and gloom. And you have allowed yourself to believe people's lies about a bad economy. More millionaires than ever were created last year. Side note, it's like you have to stay out of that. You have to stay out of the collective. You have to stay out of the matrix programming. And you have to stay out of the frequency of people in the collective. It's very low. And especially since the vax, right? It's so low. People are low frequency. They look grayed out to me. If you can see auras, you know what I'm talking about. People with the vax look gray. People that have made low frequency choices look gray. They look depleted of life. Their skin is like, has like a grayish tone to it and saggy and wrinkly beyond their years and deadness in the eyes, their DNA is mutated, right? So there's a lot of that out there. I've been out in public a lot lately. I just came back from almost a month-long vacation, had an amazing, wonderful time. I did so many fun things and also had this awareness in, whenever I was in a crowded place of like, man, these people really are low. They're low frequency. And so you just have to be very careful about who you are around, who you let influence you, what you listen to, what you watch, what you read. What are your algorithms on social media? Are you seeing a bunch of negative people? Are you seeing a bunch of doom and gloomers? Are you seeing people fighting about the war in the Middle East or about the Ukraine or about the election or about politics or about, anything, the truther community, the rabbit holes, the carnivore people, right? It's just a bunch of satanic lies. And it's designed to make you give up all your energy and deplete yourself. And to think that you're making choices because you're shown two sides. You're like, oh, even with the vax people, right? I talked about this on my Substack article, vax versus non-vaxxed. And then people who are non-vaxxed think, we're waving the non-vax flag. We made it. We're good. We're strong. Meanwhile, they're sucked into the carnivore cult and they're sucked into the darkness and the negativity and they can't get out of it. And, remind yourself, darkness, Satan doesn't care, doesn't really give a shit what form of evil you choose, just that you choose something. So if there's an appearance that you're making choices in the duality, you feel sovereign, you feel like, hey, I chose this, but you're still trapped, you're stuck, you're giving away your energy, you're depleting your energy, and you're definitely not creating your dream life. Those people are not creating their dream life. They're putting all their energy into the duality. So you're going to see that out there. You're going to see the old earth because that's where the majority of people are living. And you can observe it. You can be an observer of it instead of a participant in it. And you absolutely have to understand your power. You have to recognize the power that you have right now in this moment, at this time, to turn your entire life around, mind, body, spirit, money, relationship, every single way you can imagine, because You are a co-creator with God. Think about that. Let that sink in. I know I've talked about that before. This is not a new topic, what I have talked about. But when you recognize that, I think people hear that and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm co-creating with God. No, feel it. The divine creator that created all that is, was, and ever will be, that created the stars, the planets, the galaxies, the human body, cells, when a sperm and an egg come together and every cell instantly knows what it's going to be, and cells start dividing, and cells know I'm going to be a heart cell, I'm going to be a brain cell, I'm going to be a kidney cell, I'm going to be a lung cell. The miracle of life, the miracle that is you, that you made it here, that you're born, that you are created in the image of God, in the image and likeness of God. That God, the divine creator who knows no limits. You are a limitless being in a limitless universe. When you really grasp that and internalize that you are co-creating with God, that divine creator, you suddenly elevate into the frequency of, wow, I have so much power. And again, we have no power without God. That was Lucifer's mistake. He thought, you know what? I got this. I can do it on my own. Epic failure. He's, in an eternity of hell. But you recognize that, right? Of course, we're nothing without God. We're nothing without surrendering to Jesus, but we're everything with that. And there's so much power. The power is just not personal to you. The power is something you are co-creating with the divine creator. And I think people go two ways with that. They either get egoic with power, they're like, I'm so powerful, I can do anything. There is truth to that. But they leave out the God part. When you leave out the God part, you're stuck in hell with Satan, right? And when you recognize, oh my gosh, I'm so powerful, but you're doing it with God, I think that scares a lot of the religious brainwashed people, because they're like, no, we're not powerful. We're meek. We're just, lowly little beings here and waiting for the savior. Absolutely not. Jesus never said he was a savior, never came to save anybody. Still not saving anybody, not coming back to save anybody. He said, save yourself, and here's how. Here's my teachings. And unfortunately, the vast majority of the world, of the people who think they are following Jesus, are not. They're following Satan. They're following the tenets of Luciferianism without knowing it, right? And they're buying into this martyrdom and this suffering and sacrifice and all of the energy drains that are coming at you from every possible way. And, it's not that hard to see. I mean, literally look at the world. Look at how many people that are truly blissful and happy and peaceful and healthy and joyful and abundant and living their dream life, right? It's fairly non-existent. Even among people that are billionaires, their life is a shit show, right? They're not happy. You can see it on their faces. And I'm not saying all billionaires, but, I'm just saying money is definitely not the indicator of if you're having your dream life. It's an aspect of it, but it's not the whole thing. And some people don't even desire to have that, right? You get to choose what you desire. And so when you understand that God is love, God created you to be loved, God exists to love you, you exist to be loved, you are powerful because you are co-creating with God. And you are responsible for your energy state 24/7. You are responsible for your mental state 24/7. And you have the power to completely control both of those things to be at a level that energetically matches with your dream life. And the time is now. The time is right now. There has never been a better time. There's never been a more opportune time where the energy is so potent in this year 8 in the 9-year cycle. There is no better time than right now to do this, to jump on board, to get in the frequency of money, to be in the abundance wavelength, to be in the magnetic money manifesting container with me and all the amazing people. And if you want to join that, go to my website, lianashanti.com, and click on 9-day magnetic money manifesting. There's never been a better time. There's never been a more powerful energy available to you to do this, to just do it, and to let go of the bullshit, to let go of the pain, the suffering, the energy that has been keeping you down, keeping you away, keeping you searching for something that doesn't exist, this version of you that you think God wants you to be, and getting rid of and purging all this punishment and authoritarian, and just literally setting yourself free, completely ascending. completely ascending. That is what ascension is. This is what ascension is. Ascension is not some airy-fairy new age nonsense, vibrating off the planet or kumbayaing or worldwide group meditations. No, ascension is ascending out of the lie, ascending out of the nonsense, ascending out of the darkness, ascending out of the matrix, ascending out of the trap that you are lowly, that you are to be suffering, that your real reward comes in heaven. No, that's bullshit. That is what keeps people living in misery. That's what prevents you from living your dream life. You are meant to live your dream life right here, right now. That's why you exist. And once you understand that, you will never go back. You will never, ever lower yourself back into the planet of that, where people exist in that sickness, in that darkness. But you have to remember that God never overrides your free will. Never, ever, ever. God will never say no to you. God is always saying yes 24/7. And God is saying yes to what is an energetic match to what you're emitting, what your radio frequency is putting out there into the ethers, into the world, into the universe. So when you feel that you are happy, healthy, wealthy, abundant, joyful, blissful, that is what God says yes to. And before I close out this podcast, I want to just leave you with a little example of something that happens in my day-to-day life, but my approach, my high frequency, my abundance wavelength, just to give you a real practical example of what I'm talking about and how I go about my day and through my day and how I always keep my energy super high frequency. So I ordered these organic olives from Amazon. I love Castelvetrano olives. They're my favorite. I always get the pitted ones. And I tried a lot of brands. And one of the brands I really love, it's difficult to get here in Hawaii. So I order it on Amazon. And I typically order like 3 jars at once. And one of the sellers has, you can buy a pack of 3. So, and they're not super expensive, but they're also not cheap. So I ordered that. They came today. And immediately upon handling the box, I could smell an olive smell. And I'm like, oh shit, something broke, like something opened. I could tell already. And if you've ever ordered food products from Amazon, they don't do returns of food. You can't return, you can't get a refund. It's like food is just a no-go when it comes to that. So it's always a little bit risky if you order something and it's in a glass container and it's food. This has happened to me once before. So today I'm like, shit, I know something's up with these olives. And I open it up and each individual jar, there were 3 jars, each individual jar was wrapped in bubble wrap. And I'm like, that's so weird. I wonder what happened. But it was wet. It was wet and I could smell the brine that the olives are in. So I open up the first one and I look at the jar and it's dry, bone dry. The olives are dry. All the liquid had leaked out. The jar's not broken. There's no glass, but for some reason the seal popped, opened, and there's no liquid in there. I'm like, okay, throw that in the garbage. Clearly not going to eat that, not going to touch that. Don't know how long it's been like that, but definitely a no-go. The seal's been broken. Open the second jar. Same thing. No liquid. And the bubble wrap is soaking wet and I smell the brine. And I'm like, shoot. Oh, well, all right. And I open the third one. Perfect. Seal still tight. The little, pop on the top of the jar. All the liquid's there. Perfect condition. And I'm so excited. I'm like, yay, this bottle. I'm like, thank you, God. Thank you, universe, for this gift of these olives. And put it in the refrigerator, threw the other 2 bottles out and went about my day. And then I was like coming to do my podcast, coming into my recording studio. And I was like, wow, olives, what a perfect thing for today, for the podcast topic that I have for today, because Abundance Wavelength was me being super happy. Why was I super happy? Because I got a jar of olives. Now I paid for 3. And 2 are ruined. I can't get a refund for it. But I don't care. Money is not a problem for me. Money's not problematic. And it happened. Things happen in the universe. And I was just so excited, so happy, so great. I was literally thanking God. I'm like, thank you, God, for this awesome jar of olives. It doesn't matter that two were like tossed in the trash. It's unfortunate, but it's great that I got the olives that I wanted. And so I'm like, okay. And I looked at what would have been the energy to manifest this, right? Because if we are responsible for everything showing up in our life, what was the point of this? I'm like, oh, the point of this was so I could teach this, because it's a perfect example. I love to give examples. I love to give stories. I teach through stories, right? And the more you hear stories and examples, the more you understand and grasp and integrate the concepts. And what I always hear from my husband, he's like, people they don't know on a day-to-day basis, like how you live your life. Like if people could just follow you around for 24 hours, they'd be like, holy shit, I got to do that. And so I try to tell people that. I try to share that with people. I try to give you the information, but there's so many things that happen in a day, but I'm just constantly in a high state. I'm constantly overjoyed. I'm constantly in a state of gratitude. I am constantly thanking God. I am constantly talking with Jesus. I am constantly looking at what I am manifesting. And is this what I desire? Is this not what I desire? And so with these olives, I instantly know, I was like, yes, this is a perfect example, because I want to be able to show people and tell people that that's what's high frequency. Not even for a single second did I go, oh, unbelievable. I'm pissed. I'm mad at the seller. I'm mad at UPS. I'm mad at, no, I was like, this is fucking great. I got my olives. And I also got a story to tell people. It's just another example of things in my daily life and the way that I handle them, the way that I approach them, and why my frequency is so high, and why manifesting is so easy to me, and why I live my dream life. And you can do it too. You really can. You have to remember that you're in control of your energy, you're in control of your mind. And, I've given other examples before, like we were driving around on vacation, and in one place, gas was like $7 a gallon. And I'm like, this is great. This is awesome. I'm so grateful that I have money to pay for this. Never complain about money, never complain about inflation, whatever. I just don't care, right? Because I'm not putting my energy in those low places. Like broke people are, middle-class people are, people that are going to stay that way because that's all they do. They bitch, they complain, they're unhappy. And so I tell all those stories, I give you all the examples, but the olive example was so perfect. It just happened a couple hours ago. And I was like, this couldn't be better. I got the most amazing, delicious olives in a perfect jar. And then 2 out of the 3 had to be tossed because they were leaking or had already leaked. And so not only did I get my olives, but I got a story to tell and an example to give of how God is always saying yes. God is always providing opportunities. God is always loving you. God is always reminding you that the answer to everything you emit in your energy frequency is yes. And here it is, a very mundane day-to-day example with these jars of olives. So I'm going to leave you with Olive's story and sending you all lots of love. Thank you for listening to my podcast. She can have it all, because you can. And if you're a guy, he can have it all too, because I know I'm having more and more men come into my community and do this work, which is super awesome. I'm super stoked about that. So you can have it all, and you will if you understand these concepts. And I hope to see all of you in Magnetic Money Manifesting. We're starting in about 10 days, and just go to my website, lianashanti.com, click on 9-day Magnetic Money Manifesting, sign up, get in. Well, I have super awesome pricing, $1,000 off. So love you guys. Hope you have an amazing day. And I look forward to the next podcast. Aloha, everybody. You can find me on Instagram at Liana Shanti. And you can find all of my programs for healing and spiritual programs at lianashanti.com. And for everything health related, healing candida, programs in women's hormones, men's health, children's health, brain health, dental health, and for my health coach certification school, you can find that on Instagram at HMI Nutrition School or on the web at hminutrition.com. For business programs, you can find those at 12dbschool.com.